Hi everyone, I'm Andy Chu. I'm a member of the product team here at Kajabi, and I'm really excited to be talking with two great individuals. On my left here is Jarvis Leverson. He's an owner of The Morning Hero. He helps coaches and clients to be more productive by unlocking their mornings and using that to fuel their focus and building a better work-life balance towards being heroes in all parts of their work. And a former engineer and salesperson, he's been a frequent guest speaker on many productivity podcasts, as well as an organizer of his own live sessions. And here on my right is Levin. She's an executive coach with clients from major companies like Pollen and Motional, and she's a coach for many of us here at Kajabi, including myself, which I'm very thankful for. A former labor and employment lawyer, she's a huge advocate for making sure women have an equal voice and representation on lots of corporate leadership boards. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you.
The first question that I hope you don't mind, it's a little cheeky, that I wanted to ask both of you. And I shared you an anecdote, like my journey to getting coaching. And for me, there was a lot of activation energy for me to go that and reach out and ask for help and show up and be willing to make changes to myself. And I'm curious for both of you if you have clients who are like that as well. And what do you tell them? Like, why coaching? Why start that journey? And Jarvis, I'd love to ask you first.
Yeah, I can even just speak for my own self. It was hard for me to initially accept coaching for myself. And I think I don't know if it's common amongst everyone, but especially in my community, there's this bravado, like, I got this. Like, you grow up and you have to build this tough exterior. And so we don't even realize how the deeper lasting impact is that throughout our life, it's hard for us to accept help. It's hard for us to be vulnerable. It's hard for us to put things on the table. And so my own experience, it was tough for me to get over that hurdle. But I had, a friend of mine that says, you can't do this alone. And if you look, all of the most successful people in the world, they don't get there on their own. Like, even the people that are self-proclaimed, self-made, no one gets there on their own. Everyone has some sort of help. They have someone evangelizing for them. They have some resources. They have access. Your next level comes through your ability to connect and go through other people. And I had to submit to that. And, my story, I just use my story as I'm speaking with others, and people can resonate with that because I used to be them. And that's how they get over that hump, is because I can relate to where they are. And I've seen the transformation that I've gone through, and they've seen it, and then that's kind of where they come in, is through watching and hearing from my transformation.
Yeah. Ali, I'm curious, what has been your journey to starting with coaching as well?
I love everything you just said, Jarvis, by the way. I absolutely agree that we need support. And I was on with my coach this morning, and we're talking about some changes I want to make, and he was saying to me, like, tell me about your support. And I was like, well, I have you. And then I was sort of going through who else I have in my support structure for what I'm trying to do. I think that for me, a little bit like, I just want to think about how I want to put this. What I love about coaching and why I think coaching works so well is that it's a very forward-looking activity. It's like, what do I want for my life? Where do I see myself? How do I paint this picture for a life that's worth living, that has meaning and purpose? And how do I a coach will help you kind of paint that picture and know it, and like sort of ask you great questions to help you create that like positive vision for your future, and then support you in getting there. What steps do you need to take? What are the things that hold you back? Often it's fear. That's often what it is. And so I think that as a coach, when you're in a coaching relationship, it's a place to be seen, to be vulnerable, to be honest, knowing that your coach is only there to help you be everything you want to be, which is like the most amazing thing in the world. And for so many of my clients, they come to me and say, this isn't what I want for my life, or like, how did I end up here? You know, like, this isn't kind of what I pictured it being like. And for many of us, we don't sort of stop and say, what do I want my life to be? There's just this kind of like, and I'm an executive coach, so many of my clients, like you, are very successful, and there's an inevitability about their success. They're bright, you know, they're educated, they just keep going. But then they're like, but wait, this? And so it's like this place to really do that work. And the other thing is, I have to say, like, in my own support structure, there's my coach, and there's also my therapist, and they're really different. Sometimes I think about therapy as like looking back, you know, like things that happened in our childhoods, like kind of difficult things that we need to look at, that maybe we develop some behaviors and we kind of want to go back and unpack those. Coaching is looking forward. You know, it's very much about like, where am I going? What's that journey? What Jarvis and I were talking before we started about accountability.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I coach people, they're like, well, I knew I was going to talk to you again. So I'm kind of like, I'm not your boss, but I want to tell you about the progress I made. And with my own coach this morning, I told you I've been on this 5:30 a.m. start that he helped me kind of work out. And he's like, how's it going? And I'm like, I do this meditation for half an hour every morning for a month now. And it's amazing. But part of why I did it is because I knew I had to tell him. Mm-hmm. And then the good happened because I was doing it.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest benefits of having a coach is, just like you said, it's that checkpoint. Otherwise, we tend to let ourselves off the hook. Like, it's so easy to pass things off and brush things aside and let ourselves down. We're so easy at disappointing ourselves, but we'll do anything to avoid disappointing someone else. And so it's just like a personal trainer, right? A personal trainer, there's nothing revolutionary in what they do. Like, you know how to lift a weight. Like, no one needs to give you a 12-point document on how to lift a weight from here to here. Like, they're not teaching anything revolutionary. They're there just to hold you accountable to getting there, to showing up. And I think that's what we do as coaches, is we're there just to ensure that you show up, even when you don't want to, even when you're tired, even when you got excuses. But you know someone's gonna check in on Friday. All right, well, let me get to work, because I want to have a victory to tell them. I want to be able to share some accomplishments with them. And so just having that checkpoint, I think, is all. Like, we don't even really have to say much. It's like the work is just our presence is powerful enough, right?
Yeah, and Jarvis, I'm curious. I'd love to understand how you approach accountability, because as you mentioned, like, a part of it is showing up, but I imagine for you about being productive and waking up early, there's a lot of that accountability that has to happen for your clients outside of the session. How do you set that up?
Yeah, so I'm a little different. So I get on a call with everyone, with all of my clients on a daily basis. Every day at 5 a.m., we have a Zoom call. And that's their morning wake-up call. Let's get up, let's get after it. And so that's the accountability. The accountability is, you got to be on this call at 5 in the morning. And once you're there, the hard part is over. Like, once you show up, you're like, okay, now I'm up. And now we kind of all go through a process. We all meditate together. We go through a process where we get focused on what your most important actions are for the day. And then you commit to the team, you commit to the group, what you're going to accomplish that day. And just having that daily checkpoint, everyone flies through their day, and now they've committed their most important things to other people, they feel like they have to get them done. So whatever it is they're struggling with, they commit that they're gonna spend time with their family, they're gonna cook dinner that night, they're gonna go for a run. Whatever they commit to other people, 9 times out of 10 they do it. The fact that they verbalized it to someone else. And so I think that's the true arc of accountability, is when you include other people and you verbally commit to someone else. And the minute you do that, you solidify your intention into the universe, and 9 times out of 10, you follow through with it. The problem is, when you don't have that, you can commit to yourself all day long, but if there's no consequence, you won't do it. When you involve other people, the consequence is you're gonna let them down if you don't do it. And so most of the time you'll do it, because you don't wanna let those other people down. So the way I do accountability is, we get on a call, and we're like, all right, what are you gonna get done today? Boom, okay, boom. You're gonna get that done? Great. Tomorrow we're gonna check in and see if you did.
Amazing. There's something that you also said in your answer that I wanted to, and it's that I wanted to unpack, which is that it's about making a space for people to be vulnerable. And I'm curious, how do you create that atmosphere? How do you get your clients to be vulnerable and show up?
Love. A lot of love. I think that I have this, like, for me, I'm very drawn to people's energy and their light. Like even on Zoom, I can feel when people are alive with possibility. I can feel when they're telling me a story about something that happened at work and it's giving them energy and bringing them joy. And I sometimes say that I'm like a light in a mirror. So I kind of shine my light on their light because I can feel it. So I'm like, I amplify it for them. And then I'm also like able to hold up the mirror to like, so this is what I hear you say you want and what you're getting like loads of energy from. And this is what I see you doing. And I do it with a lot of love. So I ask a lot of questions. I listen for a long time before I start sharing what I'm seeing. I ask for permission to share what I see. I love the like knowing glances you're giving me. And I think I share my own story. Like, this being human is tough. You know, like our brains are like evolutionarily designed to scan the environment for threat, to look for like reasons to not belong, to feel like we're not safe. And that's just how we're designed. And so we've all had our experiences of feeling unsafe, of being afraid. And where I can find those moments to share an experience of a difficult conversation or a failure that became a learning, or oftentimes when I'm coaching people, they come to me, like I coach great people. You know, I mean, people bring me I coach some of the best executives in organizations, so like they're already super high performers. And but when they come to me, it's like you don't have to kind of like perform in this moment. Just be. And being seen and being listened to and having someone ask you questions without judgment, just like curiosity and compassion, I think creates a lot of courage in the people I coach.
Yeah. I'm actually curious about that journey and kind of want to put the focus on you. Thinking about both of your experiences when you were first setting up your coaching practices, what was a notable challenge you faced early on in that journey? And Allie, I'm going to ask you first.
I mean, I was a lawyer, so I was paid a lot of money to tell people what to do, and that's not what coaching is. So I feel like when I started out as a coach, and funnily enough, they gave me the lawyers to coach. The first kind of, when I got my start, someone was like, no one wants to coach the lawyers. Who will? And I was like, oh, I love lawyers. I am one. I'll coach the lawyers. And I felt like my job was just to give advice. You know, like do this, do this, do this. And that's not really what coaching is. Coaching is, I mean, I'm a leadership coach and I read a lot and I teach leadership. So oftentimes I'm sharing frameworks or models or techniques or tools. But I don't think that that's my job. And so in the beginning, I had to learn to ask a lot more questions, to not feel like I was being paid to fix or solve the problem, which is what I used to be paid to do, but rather I was being engaged to, back to what we've already said, create a safe space for the person I'm coaching to explore what they want, what has meaning and purpose to them, and what things they might try to get there. And actually, like, it's the coaching client, it's the client, the coachee, the client. It's their job to set the learning agenda and their job to choose their way forward, which is very different from when I was a lawyer, when I was like, no, you like have to do this or you will get sued, you know? So that's that was my challenge.
Why'd you make the leap from lawyer to coach?
A few reasons. One was like just circumstance. Like I moved to the UK, so I'd been living in the US, and I got married, and I moved to London, and I would have to requalify, and so. But the second thing was in that moment when I moved to the UK, I asked myself what matters most, the kind of stuff that I now ask my clients. What about my job did I love? And as an employment lawyer, I loved organizations. Like, I loved how do they work and how do people motivate people and how do they like create the conditions for people to be successful. But as a lawyer, I was always coming in when like bad stuff happened. And so I got really curious about what can you do differently that's not litigation, but is like creating conditions for people to be happy and successful at work. And that's when I went back to school and I studied organizational leadership in the UK. And then I was like, this is great. And then I like got accredited and became a coach. And so that was the kind of journey. But I've always like been... I've always believed enormously in work. I mean, that sounds silly, but I think that people are happier when they're working.
Totally.
They have especially for women, to have a really strong, independent identity and know what contribution they're making, whether they're being paid for their work or not. I mean, I personally like to get paid, but I'm not saying everybody has to do that, but that there's some contribution they're making, and how do we create the conditions for people to be successful in that contribution that doesn't result in litigation.
Yeah.
I love as you're thinking about that journey since you started, what's been a highlight for you?
There's so many. I think that the truth is, so I told you I got married, moved to London, then I got divorced. And in my divorce and through like this sort of next chapter of my life, I realized that most of my coaching clients were men. I coach executives, and most of them were men. I had some women, but not a lot. And over the last 3 or 4 years, I've just like doubled down on my focus to get women into leadership positions and to support them, and created this course in Kajabi and created coaching groups, like everything you said, Jarvis, about like we hold each other to account and we share stories and we show up for each other. And watching just like woman after woman like find what she wants for her life and get promoted and get into leadership positions and learn how to advocate for herself and challenge the systemic barriers to promotion, and like that's it for me. Not that I don't love the men that I coach too.
Absolutely.
But I love the women.
Jarvis, for you, I'm curious for you, what's been an early challenge for you when you started your coaching?
So my coaching, I never set out to be a coach. I was a commercial real estate agent and was successful. I had found kind of this formula of how to achieve massive success in my life. I started waking up early, and I had this set morning system that I was using, this 5-step routine every day that got me really dialed in and focused. And my business doubled. I lost 30 pounds. My relationship with then my girlfriend, now she's my wife, couldn't have been better. And within 3 months, I saw a complete transformation in myself. So what I did was, people started noticing. Like I would walk into a room and people would just notice I had a glow. They would say, gosh, there's something about you. Like you walk in here you're doing backflips everywhere. You got this vibrant energy. Like there's an essence to you. Like what are you doing? And so I would just tell them like, this is what I do now. Like it's all because of this morning practice. Like I found like the secret sauce. Like every morning I would wake up really early and I would have 2 hours of solitude to myself, to work on myself, to build up myself, to work on my business, to work on everything that I need to work on that was fulfilling for me and my fitness. And so I started seeing all these results, and I would just share people like, this is how I'm getting results in my life. And then slowly but surely people would say, well, can you show me what you're doing? And then, okay, I would work with one person, and then another person was like, what are you doing? And I was like, can you show me? And then slowly but surely, it was like the universe was pulling me into this direction. Like I would get in front of people, and I would be in business meetings, and people would want to hear more about my morning practice than my commercial real estate. And so I'm like, okay, there's something here. And so sign after sign after sign, the universe was showing me that this is where I want you. This is where I need you. And so one day I decided to say, okay, well, would people pay for this? And the moment I put an offer out and say, okay, would anyone sign up for this? Would anyone want to see what I do in the morning? Do anyone want to maximize their day and be twice as productive and get better results? And then everyone raised their hand. And I was like, all right, this is a business. And so I kind of fell into coaching, and it was fun when it was just a hobby, when it was just my passion, when it was my purpose. My purpose was to help other people get to their point B. Like, I found kind of this formula that worked for me, and I think everyone has a point B. There's a point A is where they are now, and their point B is where they're destined to be, like their full potential. And a lot of times people kind of get stuck on that journey. And my purpose was to help smooth that journey out for people to accelerate their path to their point B. And it was fun. And the moment I said, okay, who will pay for this? And people started raising their hand, I was like, all right, this is a business. Now it turned into a business. And my initial challenge was making the transition from this being really good at something to turning that into a business. And that's not a very intuitive leap. It's just because you know how to bake brownies doesn't mean you should open a bakery, right? It's a big leap to try to turn something into a profitable business. So I had to kind of go back and learn all about marketing and advertising and operations and all the things that it takes to run a business. And so that was my initial challenge, is transitioning from me just helping people to now monetizing and trying to turn it into a profitable business to sustain me and my family.
Yeah, absolutely, about setting up that business. And I'm curious, what has been like kind of the most successful tactic for you to overcome setting up your business?
Well, the first thing was I had to get a coach. And so now I'm not just the president, I'm also a client. But the first thing I had to acknowledge was I needed help. Like, this was a foreign thing to me. I had never been an entrepreneur before. And so the first thing I had to do was acknowledge that I don't have it figured out. This thing is a lot harder than I anticipated. Maybe, there are people out there that are successful at this. Maybe I should just get a guide and have them give me the formula. And so I got a coach, and he helped me understand how to make this a business. Not just, I was already good at coaching people. I was great. You put me in front of someone, you put me in front of a crowd, I can have people jumping and high-fiving in 15 minutes flat. I'm great at that, but I needed coaching on how to do digital marketing, how to bring in new leads and build an audience and build a community and then monetize that community, how to set up an offer structure, how to send somebody on a journey to get them to their grand promise. Like, all of that stuff was foreign to me. And so I had a coach kind of walk me through it. And then since then is that, and then obviously the other part, shameless plug for Kajabi, but having systems. Because as a solopreneur, you'll quickly realize that you'll hit a capacity point. You'll hit a critical mass where there's only so many hours in the day, and there's only so much time, effort, and sanity that you have to be able to do all of these different pieces of the puzzle. And so I had to quickly learn how to build systems to automate and streamline a lot of things so that it didn't drive me insane. And then that was probably the second piece.
Yeah. Something you mentioned earlier is that you view your job as a coach of helping your clients get from point A to point B and helping smooth that journey. What's your favorite story about helping smooth that?
Oh, man. First of all, I love so my claim to fame is I'm the morning hero, so I help other people become morning heroes too. And so I firmly believe that if you win the morning, you win the day. And when you start winning your days turn into weeks and months and years, you win your life one morning at a time. So I show people how to wake up a little earlier, maximize that time, and you'll see everything you're trying to get to, gosh, things will just start happening for you in your favor. And so the first aha that I help empower people to recognize that you can be a morning person. Most people have this big wall up that, I'll never be a morning person. That's my circadian rhythm, like my body chemistry, all this blah, blah, blah. And so I empower people to show them how, like, you're not a prisoner to this circadian rhythm. Like, anyone can wake up a little earlier. And so I love like giving people that transformation, like, and they first start getting up early and they first started seeing some results. And then it's amazing the results that people get. So I had one of my clients, he was about to get fired from his job. He was in real estate. He went 5 months without closing a deal. And if you know, in real estate, it's all commission. So he wasn't bringing home any money, any commission checks. And his broker was about to fire him. No, let alone, he also had a new baby and a wife at home. And, you know, as a man, you know, it's a deep sense of pride to be able to provide for your family, especially if you have a child. Not only was his wife looking at him like, what's going on, himself, his own confidence was diminished because he wasn't providing for his family. And so I started working with him. He joined our morning accountability groups. He started getting up early. He started working out. He started bringing in new deals because he had a whole extra 2 hours of his day. And within 8 months, he had tripled his income from the previous year. Within 8 months of just this new routine, getting up a little earlier, he had more time to focus on his business. He wasn't so, waking up right into the barrage and the chaos of emails and transactions. So he had more, like I said, had more time, and that resulted in him tripling his income. I got a text message from his wife saying, "Jarvis, thank you. You saved our marriage. Like, you have no idea what you did for him and what that's done for our house. It's like, my baby thanks you." Like that, that's what I do this. That's why I do this. I do this for the stories like that. And it's funny enough, this might be TMI, but I have these morning hero get-togethers where all my clients get together. And we did one on the beach a few weeks ago. And he came and he had his chest hair shaved in the shape of an M. And he's like, "Hey, I'm a morning hero." Like, and people are proud. Like, you help people build new identities. Like, to take them from who they were to this new thing, to this superhero. That's why I do this.
Amazing. Ali, you mentioned during your highlight that a big highlight for you is empowering women so that way they can be more successful. And I'm curious for you, like, is there a favorite client story that you have of taking somebody on that journey?
I think it's so funny when you were talking about that letter because I just got one 2 days ago. And I just wrote her back, same thing, like, that's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
And it's just, so this was someone who, as part of my women's course that I have on Kajabi, she came on the course, and in the beginning she was just so, you could hear her voice kind of shaking when she spoke, and she just lacked confidence, and she'd been at this company for a long time, but she just didn't know how to kind of advocate for herself and for her promotion and to get other opportunities, more visibility opportunities. And in these sessions, we just talked about different things she could try and how she shows up and why she wants what she wants, that sense of purpose. I do a lot of that with my clients, like, why get out of bed in the morning? Like, what's the contribution you want to make? And as she connected more and more to that, she just continued to have these meetings with her manager and then skip level meetings with her next manager. And then the next, I remember even while the course was still going on, she was told me the story about, one of her colleagues saying, pretty soon they're just going to ask you, what job do you want? And I just got an email from her 2 days ago, just this long story about, you won't believe all the things that have happened, and this is happening, and this is happening. And I just keep thinking back to the coaching and the course, and thank you so much. And that's just one of I keep them, when I get these emails now, I just put them in this little file I called celebrations that I just read back for the sole purpose of being this is why I do what I do.
So what is next for you and your business?
I have a really rich business, and I was really moved by your story, Jarvis, because I feel very grateful for the way my practice developed, which was I started coaching lawyers. Then I was I really like this. I got a credential. I was part of this coaching community at Oxford. It all just grew really organically. So I actually never I never had to market or do anything. And I have a lot of corporate clients, so it's contract-based works. And if I do well, sometimes people leave and they go to another company, and then they're like, oh, can we bring our coach from the other, So it's all been really organic. So that went on I went like that for 12 or 13 years. And it still goes. But a couple of years ago, when I found out about Kajabi, I was like, I want to do something really different. I still want all that other work that I do, but I wanted to build this curriculum, which I'd never really done before. I'd done it, actually that's not true because I did it at Oxford, so I'd done it live, but I'd never done an online curriculum before. And this act of, really thinking through from the moment that someone starts to get a vision for how they want their career to be for women, and then all of the systemic challenges that they'll face and how to build a network and how to get awareness of their mind and body and heart and all that connection and build resilience. So I started to work through that, building this curriculum and then creating these cohorts of women like you were describing, Jarvis. Like, that's my dream, is just to have this massive group of women that have been like, yes. So it's still early days for me. I mean, I've been running the program for only like a year now. But that what's next for me is just building an amazing alumni group, of women who have been through this program, who will support and champion other women. When Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg was on the court, one of the things that people asked her is when will you stop, right? Like, what's your goal? What are you doing? And she said, when there are 9, meaning when there are 9 women on the Supreme Court. And I kind of feel the same way. Like, this program that I'm running now and this work that I'm doing for women is I will never stop, but my goal is C-suites that are full of women. And that's what's next.
That's amazing. I'm curious, because you had that experience of teaching that course live. How has that been different live versus online?
It's, when I do these programs live, we are all together for 3 days at a time. So it's a pretty immersive, full on, and then I coach people in between, and then they come back together for 3 days in the classroom. That's the model I did before online. Online curriculum is have you watched videos? You're good for 10 minutes, right? I can't do a big interactive thing like I do in a classroom with whiteboards everywhere and people moving around, and I get them doing all kinds of stuff. So you have to find a way to make that experience, that short video, powerful and meaningful, and give them something to do while they're watching you to keep them engaged. And that was challenging, to think about how to do that. And just getting used to seeing myself on a screen, that was really hard. And then, like Jarvis said, then I was oh, now I have to start marketing this. I just outsourced it all because I really coach people to go where their energy is. Yeah. And if you can figure out how to get someone else who gets a lot of energy from doing that, outsource it. So I've outsourced all of that. But it's made me, doesn't sound like it right now in all my talking, but it's made me learn how to be more succinct, more clear, think immediately about what can I say in 10 minutes, that is empowering, is exciting, is engaging, is motivating, and then we'll bring it together in our weekly coaching sessions. That's where we can do the processing of it. Whereas in live, you're processing and learning and doing it all at the same time. But here I'm not with them while they're doing all of the kind of coaching exercises.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Which do you prefer?
I love both, actually. I would have always said live before. But we've all just lived through a time when we weren't live. Right. For a lot of stuff. And so I think I just got really comfortable with it. And I actually think, you probably feel this, I can really, and we talk on Zoom a lot. We can feel each other's energy. It's not I know there's a screen between us, but I feel it.
Yeah, you can still draw out the same emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jarvis, what's next for you and the Morning Hero?
So I work a lot with entrepreneurs, salespeople, business owners, solopreneurs, and one of the biggest problems as an entrepreneur is that you have a lot on your plate. Yeah, kind of like the story I was explaining earlier about my journey making that transition. And it's easy to get overwhelmed and bogged down by everything that's going on throughout the day. And where I come in is I help people plan and organize their day and structure their time so they have better time management so they can get more stuff done. And where I found that where I get stuck is that it's just one of me. And so I'm pretty excited that I'm releasing an 8-week accelerator on Kajabi where these entrepreneurs can go through the program and learn all of the techniques of how to wake up early, how to have a strong, solid morning routine, how to better manage their time, how to accelerate their fitness, how to incorporate all these keystone habits into their life so that within 8 weeks they come out a hero of their day, a hero of their life. And so it's going to be a Morning Hero 8-week accelerator program built on Kajabi. And so that'll be released so people can go to themorninghero.com and learn about how they can become heroes and start owning their days through the accelerator.
That's awesome. I just want to thank both of you so much for sharing with me today, and I really, really appreciate it. Jarvis, Where can people find you?
The Morning Hero, so on Instagram, it's at the.morninghero. I have a bunch of pictures of my family and me and my wife. We have the world's probably the most gorgeous human being ever to be born is our 2-year-old son. So if you're into that kind of stuff, and if you're into morning routines and waking up and taking charge of the day, every day I post, what time. I'm the crazy guy posting pictures of my clock at 4:30 in the morning and my workout routine and my meditation and everything. So that's on Instagram at the.morninghero. And then go to themorninghero.com to learn more about. I have a 5-part series on how to wake up at 5 a.m. to rise and grind.
Amazing.
To get the day started.
Amazing. Allie, where can people find you?
CoachAllieLevin.com. And sign up. I have a blog that I write every month. I have I'm putting stuff on Instagram about tips for women, how to get ahead, how to build confidence, how to have effective one-to-ones with your manager, how to negotiate for raises and promotion. I'm just constantly throwing out as much information as I can. I'm everywhere, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, all of it. But everything is Coach Allie Levin.
Amazing. I just thank you so much. And I think on behalf of all of your clients too, I want to thank them. Like for me, I'm really lucky to be supporting some great product managers here at Kajabi, and I want to make sure that I show up for them and support them. And for me, like a lot of what we've been in our talks and our coaching sessions have been a huge help to get me to do that. I imagine it's the exact same thing for your clients. So on behalf of both of your clients, please thank you. And thank you so much for talking with me.
Thank you.